It's all right, Claude.
Understood, sir.
So, you managed to find me.
I did.
Well, let's get this over with then. How do you want your pictures? Shall I get some tubes to fill my face with? Will that suffice for your front page?
I'm no journalist. Well, not yet anyway.
Ah, she's but a cub. So, you're hoping for your big break. Surely this must be worth an internship at one of the big papers. Do you want me to call Thompson at the Times and get it over with? I still play golf with him every once in a while.
That's not what this is about. It's personal.
Sounds serious. Perhaps I should ask Claude to produce his gun.
You know, Charles, the person most likely to be harmed by a gun tends to be its owner.
Very true. That's something the Japs who captured me learned the hard way.
Did my grandfather bail you out then too, or was that one of the few times where he didn't save your sorry ass?
Hold on there. Explain yourself.
You're willing to listen to something other than your own voice? I'm stunned. I'm Kathy Rain. Joseph was my grandfather.
Now I remember. You were at the funeral.
I was.
You were late.
I needed my morning smoke. Besides, it's not like Grandpa was going anywhere.
Oh, just look at her, Claude. She's absolutely fearless. That's Joseph's blood running through her veins.
She certainly has a smart mouth, sir.
I must say, you have me intrigued, Kathy. What can this old man help you with?
Do you know anything about what happened to my grandfather in '81?
I wish I did, Kathy. You must know I did everything in my power to help. How do you think Mary Elizabeth could afford all that expensive treatment? MRIs, neurologists, say what you will about Joseph. But he was never rich.
Strange. Grandma never mentioned that to me.
She's just too proud. At first she refused. She was convinced that I had an agenda, that there were strings attached.
And were there?
Don't be silly. Despite all that had happened, I still loved Joseph dearly. I wanted to help. People from places like this have a deeply rooted mistrust in the rich, passed on for generations. In her eyes, I had become one of them.
So that's all you know about the whole affair?
Are you implying that there's more to know? I left the diagnosis to the professionals. Mrs. Rain accepted the health care, but asked me to stay out of everything else. So I did.
I see. What can you tell me about your friendship with Grandpa?
Joseph was the best friend I ever had. We grew up together, married our high school sweethearts together, went to war together. I can't even begin to count the number of times he's saved my life. I repaid the favor once or twice, but he came up ahead, no doubt.
So when did you two lose touch? I heard that something happened between you and him. What was it?
The truth is, Brian Rain happened. Sharon Evans happened.
My parents?
Yes. They ruined everything with their vile, destructive behavior. I couldn't have that around my daughter or my newborn grandson. Joseph was naive. He believed that anyone could be helped, that anyone could be reasoned with, given a chance. He was just too good, bless him. He should have been harder on Brian, more strict. So our family started drifting apart. Eventually my company grew much too large for this little town, and we moved on. Not long after that, your grandfather ended up in that wheelchair. That marked the end of our friendship, for obvious reasons.
You bought a number of paintings by Lily Myers. Why?
I'm known to dabble in art from time to time. Martha, my wife at the time, was enamored with the paintings. I believe she first saw them at the high school which the Myers girl attended. Anyway, after the poor girl killed herself, I bought the paintings speculatively. When a young artist with any talent to speak of commits suicide, it can be a wet dream of certain connoisseurs. Shortly after procuring the art, I had it valued by an expert who determined that the value was 3 times the amount I bought it for. Today, I'm sure I would have made my money back tenfold or more if it wasn't for the art theft.
What art theft?
There was a burglary at the mansion I used to own here in town. It was all over the local news at the time.
Well, shit.
Eloquently put.
Do you recognize the call sign Cocky?
Would be strange if I didn't, since I was the one who coined it. It belongs to a fellow named Jimmy Cochran. He was a coward, really. The nickname is somewhat of a bad joke.
Perfect. Thanks. Tell me about Jimmy Cochran. Is he still alive?
In a literal sense. He's been held in a mental institution for years.
Let me guess. Since 81?
Either 82 or 83. I'm fairly certain it was early 83.
Do you remember the name of the institution?
Something starting with an E. Emerson, Everton, or similar.
Ingstrom? Ingstrom Psychiatric Hospital?
Yes, that's the one. You know the place, Kathy.
I do. My mother is in there. Sharon Evans? I had her committed about a year ago.
I see. It must have taken a lot of courage to do that, Kathy. Mothers have a lot of power over us, more than most of us care to admit.
I guess so. Do you know why Jimmy ended up in there?
Some obsessive-compulsive syndrome. He became fixated with circles and started hurting himself, trying to scratch the circles out of his head.
Creepy. I wonder what set him off. I think I'll check the place out tomorrow. Too late to head back to the city now. Can you tell me about the art theft?
Well, somebody broke in, stole the paintings, and got out. Fairly clumsy job. Lots of broken windows. The strangest thing was that I had a Monet, a Rembrandt, and 2 paintings by Picasso, untouched. But every single painting by an unknown local artist, gone.
That can't be a coincidence.
Agreed. Somebody wanted those paintings badly.
I assume there was an investigation.
Yes, Sheriff Truman came by with his deputy a few hours later, but they didn't have much luck. They found a few hairs, which turned out to be from Ruffles, the family dog.
Some stunning police work right there.
Indeed. There was a single witness, though, who said he could make out multiple burglars leaving the scene of the crime, but nothing more than that.
So, I take it the case was closed?
Yes. I honestly didn't care much one way or the other, given the fact that my most expensive pieces were safe and sound.
I think I'll have a chat with the sheriff about the matter, if that's okay with you.
Certainly. I'll call ahead and instruct him to give you everything you need.
That'd be great. Thanks, Charles.
Anytime. But I'm curious, what's your interest in the paintings?
I've learned that my grandfather went to Sioux and asked to see them, right before he had his injury.
Is that so? Strange.
What can you tell me about the Church of the Holy Trinity?
They seem like any other church to me. But then again, I'm not their usual clientele. Weddings, baptisms, and funerals are just about what I can muster. And I always leave early.
He's being cooperative at the moment. I shouldn't push my luck. I don't need to show him that. I don't need to show him that. I don't need to show him that. Do you recognize this, Charles?
Of course. Your grandfather, me, Jimmy Cochran, taken shortly before we went to the war.
You guys look like you just won the lottery or something.
Indeed, we were mere children, with no concept of what we were getting into.
Do you know what this key opens?
You must be truly desperate if you ask random people a question like that.
I don't need to. What do you see in this picture, Charles?
Fireflies would be my best guess. They can grow terribly large around these parts.
Do you know what this is?
A flower? Why don't you consult a botanist instead of bothering me with this nonsense?
Thanks, Charles. That's all I need for now.
You're welcome, Kathy. Come back anytime.
Just some boring landscape paintings. Looks like Wade brought some of his old tunes with him. That guy is huge. I wonder how many cows he eats per day. I'd rather not. He'd crush me like a twig. A private phone. Wade must get special privileges here. Hello, Father.
Greetings, my child. I'm glad you decided to come here.
Yeah, but just so you know, I'm not here to join your church or anything.
Oh, I would never assume that.
Good. So, with that out of the way, I have some questions.
Anything you need. I'm Isaac Price.
Kathy Rain, but I'm guessing you figured that out already.
I did. Rumors spread quickly around here. So how can I be of service?
Do you know anything about what happened to my grandfather in '81?
It was the work of the devil, I'll say that much. Joseph was a kind man. He did not deserve such a fate. You heard my speech at the funeral, Kathy. I meant every word. He was a great man who did much good for this community.
Did you know him personally?
In a way, he and my father did charity work together. Joseph was around a lot when I was young. They collaborated on a few different projects for the homeless and for the troubled youth, among other things.
So my grandfather was a member of the church?
I wouldn't say that, no. He was a friend of the church, but he wasn't a religious man. He believed only in philanthropy. That being said, Joseph was the person who convinced me to become a priest.
Really?
Oh yes, I was a teenager back then, full of rebellion, every fiber of my being wanting to distance myself from my father. Joseph made me realize my sinful pride and showed me how I should follow my heart regardless of what others might think. And for that, I'm eternally grateful.
Does the name Lily Myers mean anything to you?
It does. I was a substitute teacher in her high school for some time before I was ordained.
Really? Did you know her personally?
We weren't close. I only knew her as much as a teacher would know any student.
All right, so how did she seem toward the end?
For one, she started skipping school a lot, and when she did show up, she was absent-minded and moody. She always looked depressed and hunched down like she had a whole world on her shoulders.
Any idea of what caused this change?
Not a clue. All I know is that when she returned from that last summer break, she was a whole different person.
Do you know who Jimmy Cochran is?
I don't recognize that name, no.
Do you know anything about an art theft at the Wade estate in the 80s?
I have just a vague memory of reading about it in the paper.
Care to tell me the history of the church?
I'd be happy to. The story is a fascinating one. This church was founded by my father, William T. Price, in the 70s. Back then, he made his living as a traveling salesman and was driving through this area as he'd done so many times before. However, this day was different. My father held dark thoughts in his mind. He was angry, thinking of evil deeds even considering swerving off the road into a rock and ending it all. Then suddenly, divine intervention. 3 bright lights appeared. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, the sign of God. This epiphany was the moment my father had been waiting for. He sold all of his belongings and took me and my brother to live with him here in Conwell Springs. Soon thereafter, he built this church and started gathering followers. They began to refer to him as Father Bill.
I take it that window up there resembles what he saw when he had this epiphany?
Indeed, the stained glass window depicts the Holy Trinity as witnessed by my father.
Do you know exactly when or where this event took place?
Why do you ask?
Oh, just curious. It's a captivating story.
Well, it was in the spring of 1971, but my father never told anyone where.
Okay, so what happened then?
People flocked to Father Bill. He started teaching, writing scripture. The church flourished and continued to grow all the way up until his sudden death in 1983. That's when I stepped in to take leadership of the church.
I take it that the church started declining after the death of Father Bill?
Yes, naturally so. With such a magnetic personality, he was irreplaceable. But I assure you the church is still very much thriving.
Looks kinda empty to me.
It's not really our peak hours.
What's up with you handing out pamphlets at funerals then? Trying to reel people in at a weak moment?
I'm going to assume you meant no disrespect, child. I'm simply providing divine guidance when it's needed the most.
Do you recognize the men in this picture, Isaac?
Only your grandfather, and that's just because I was given a similar picture for the service the other day.
Do you know what this key opens?
I'm afraid not, my child.
I could, but I think I have more to gain from a subtle strategy. I'll keep it to myself for now, until I know more about this church. Father, do you know anything about this flower?
No, my child. Nothing at all.
That's all I need for now, Father.
May the Lord shine his light on you.
Could lead to a sacristy or a closet of some kind. Locked. A bunch of red Bibles stacked in neat rows. I really shouldn't. They might burn. It's an altar. You know, the place where they put the sacrificed goats, kids, and other crap. Impressive window. There's no doubt about it. Those are the smoky lights. Isaac Price, the priest of the church. Could lead to a sacristy or a closet of some kind. Locked. Well, this is it. This is where the picture was taken. I'm not sure what I expected to find here. I need to clear my head. What the?
We've met before, haven't we?
Nope, just no. I'd remember a creepy bald dude with makeup.
Memories can deceive, Kathy. Dig deeper.
Who are you? How do you know my name?
You told me, remember?
I feel strange. Am I dreaming?
It's the mending I will try to facilitate.
You're not real. I'm lying asleep in my bed right now.
Focus, Kathy. Listen to the drowned girl.
You mean Lily? What about her?
She's the anomaly, the missing refrain, the convergence point of things past and events yet to happen.
Dial down the metaphors a notch, would you, Mr. Kafka? I get enough of that shit in English class.
I knew you wouldn't disappoint. I'm glad, given how much trouble I went through to be here. You see, my name was taken from me, so I claimed a color in its stead. The next time we meet, you'll know the exact hue of red. You're on the right path, Kathy. Follow your grandfather, and everything will work out in the end.
Wait, what? How did I get here? Am I going crazy? Am I turning into Mom? What really happened to you that night, Grandpa? Something was special about that girl. I just know it. I need to talk to Jimmy. He must have some answers about the nature of the lights. I wonder who tried to get their hands on Lily Meyer's art. I'm sure the church is hiding something. I don't trust that priest. There's something really off about him. No result for that.
Oh, hello, dear. Glad to see you again so soon.
Hi, Grandma. I just thought I'd drop by.
Sure, hon. Stay as long as you'd like.
Mind if we talk for a bit, Grandma?
Not at all, dear. What's on your mind?
Do you know who Jimmy Cochran is? He was a friend of Grandpa's.
I believe he teaches at the flight school these days.
I don't think so, at least not anymore. I was told he was placed in a mental facility.
Really? He always struck me as a kind man. Maybe a bit nervous and on edge, but not crazy.
There's more. I found out that Jimmy asked Grandpa for help not long before Grandpa ended up in that wheelchair. Jimmy sounded really desperate. I'm sure what happened to Grandpa that night had something to do with his cry for help.
You should go find the man then. Surely he must know something.
That's the plan. I just wondered if there's anything else you think I should know about him.
Not really. We haven't stayed in touch since Joseph was injured. I know that he had a wife, Agatha, and a son, James. Agatha passed away from cancer years ago, but as far as I know, James still lives in the city with his family.
Okay, thanks, Grandma. I don't see a reason to ask her about that. I don't see a reason. What do you see in this picture, Grandma?
I have no idea, but it's quite an eerie display. What is it?
I'm trying to figure that out. I found the picture hidden in the attic.
Oh, come to think of it, the trees do look similar to the ones in Conwell Woods.
Yeah, it was taken somewhere in that area. I found out that the flower in the picture matches a rare local species.
Aren't you clever? Do let me know if you come across anything else.
Do you know anything about this flower, Grandma?
I can't say that I do. I remember seeing it growing in the woods, but I didn't think much of it at the time.
See you later, Grams.
Take care, dear.
I don't need to call E right now. We'll catch up tonight.
McConnell Air Force Base, how can I help you?
Hi. I was just wondering if you had
Sure thing, ma'am.
I don't see a reason to. Do you know anything about a pilot named Jimmy Cochran? He was assigned to your base during World War II. Maybe even longer?
Hold on, let me check. Yes, Jimmy Cochran, fighter pilot born 1922, tour of duty in Japan from 41 to 42, honorably discharged for health reasons. Spent some time as a civilian pilot elsewhere in the U.S. until he returned to the flight academy here in the capacity of a teacher. Mr. Cochran was the major proponent of opening up the academy to civilian students. He continued teaching at this base until a sudden resignation in 1983 for unspecified reasons.
All right, thanks. I don't see a reason. All right, that's all.
Goodbye, ma'am.
This paint looks fresh. Grandma must have had this restored recently. Cute red horse. It's some old Swedish thing, I think. That doesn't need unlocking. It says Price. It must belong to Isaac's family. A family mausoleum. Isaac's family must be pretty rich. Those things don't come cheap. No reason to go. Hey, Lenny.
Hello, Kathy. What's up?
Do you know who Jimmy Cochran is?
Not really, Kathy. Sorry.
Nah, I don't want to ask him about that. Nah, I don't want to ask. Do you know what this is?
I have no idea. Looks creepy, whatever it is. Where did you get it?
Grandpa had it hidden away in the attic.
Probably for a good reason, then. Be careful out there.
Hey, Lenny, do you recognize this flower?
Yeah, I accidentally inhaled pollen from one of them when I was a kid. I remember being sick and delirious for days.
Scary. Where did you come across this flower?
Somewhere in Conwell Woods. Not sure where exactly.
All right. Well, gotta go.
See ya.
Hello, Sheriff. Mind if I ask you a few more questions?
If you must.
Do you know who Jimmy Cochran is?
Nope.
Do you know anything about the art theft in the Wade estate?
Yes, Mr. Wade phoned ahead about that. Lenny,
Yes, boss.
get the report from the burglary in the Wade estate back in '86.
On it, boss. There you go, Kathy.
Thanks, buddy. Hello, Sheriff. I don't need to ask. Do you know what this is?
Ah, it's just some kids playing pranks with flashlights.
Do you recognize this flower?
Matter of fact, I do. It's a local endangered plant with mild narcotic properties.
Yeah? Have you come across any users in the area?
Sure, but it's a bit tricky to do anything about it. Using it as a substance is technically illegal.
Ah, so the illegal part is picking it in the first place.
Yes, knowingly picking the flower is a crime, according to the Endangered Species Act of 1973.
Gotcha, thanks. I'll hang on to it for now. That's all for now.
Good.
A photo of the sheriff shaking hands with some bald guy in a suit. Probably the mayor. It's always the mayor. I gotta find this Goldfarb guy. Maybe he knows more about the burglary. Hello, Sheriff. I don't need to ask. Does the name Franklin Goldfarb mean anything to you?
Never heard of him. Anything else?
That's all for now.
Good.
Hey, Lenny.
Hello, Kathy. What's up?
Does the name Franklin Goldfarb mean anything to you?
Sounds familiar, but I can't place him.
Well, gotta go.
See ya.